When you think about the overwhelming, unrefined power that electricity wields, you realize that 1. Benjamin Franklin probably should have been barbecued with that kite, and 2. There are so many creative ways to make challenging and powerful boss fights. Lightning is varied enough that it can act almost the same as fire, though with prettier colors and sharper edges, while still maintaining an identity that is sometimes more frightening. And today, we are going to focus on the electrical Einsteins we find scattered across our video games. In keeping with the rules of my recent boss lists, I'm not going to be just focusing on the character, but the whole fight and interaction with them. This includes how well they use their lightning abilities, variety is a spice of life here, so the more variety the better, creativity with the fight including references to mythology, interesting locations or scenarios, or inspiration from other media, great personality and design, challenge versus fun factor, and of course, the music. Can't have a good boss battle without music, not here at Fire Joker Productions, no sorry Bob!
So, without any further ado, Pikachu, I choose you! Good old, reliable Shock Chungus.
Souls-likes, in case you're unaware, are a subgenre of games that emerged in the past decade. They're characterized by their brutal difficulty, methodical combat, and open-ended world design. So basically just 3D Metroidvanias with RPG elements? Put simply, they're action RPGs where you die a lot. Those things, even though Sekiro isn't really an RPG and has far different combat, well, they have some pretty cool lightning bosses, so let's focus on that for now. Starting off, we have one of the most iconic encounters in Dark Souls, Ornstein and Smog. You have to face these guys at the same time and they are merciless. Ornstein is wicked fast with access to lightning spells while Smog is slow but hits like a truck. Fortunately, you can summon Solaire to help you. Always nice to fight alongside a fellow member of the Solar Empire. Once you beat one of them, things really kick into high gear. Whichever one you left alive will absorb the other one and grow stronger. If you kill Smaug first, Ornstein will become a giant. Conversely, killing Ornstein first will give him lightning powers. Both of the possible second phases are difficult in different ways, so the choice really is yours. Moving on to Bloodborne, we have Dark Beast Parl. And yeah, he's an electric skeletal abomination. It ain't gonna be pretty.
It's metal. Pretty metal.
Dark Beast Parl is incredibly aggressive and fast, constantly in your face with his claws and discharging lightning at you. And after a bit, he'll infuse himself with more lightning, making him that much more deadly. Fortunately, you can attack his legs to trigger a knockdown and lead to major damage. For the Souls-like not from Software, we have Nue from Nioh.
I'll be seeing you tonight.
Similar to Parl, Nue is a horrific beast that rampages across the field while attacking you and blasting lightning. Albeit it's a bit easier as it's relatively simple to strafe around it and attack. The representative for Sekiro, Genichiro Shina, is a far different beast. Rather than a giant monster who towers above you, you're up against one of your fellow samurai. The fight has a lot of build-up going in, as you previously fought against Genichiro in an unwinnable tutorial battle where he cut off your arm. Like most of the combat in Sekiro, the battle against Genichiro is intense. Once he takes off his armor and starts using lightning attacks, you need to be able to parry him. There's no way around it. To get back to what I said earlier about genres, however, I honestly feel that the whole action RPG label itself is also a bit of a misnomer. I mean, there are basically two kinds of action RPGs. Hack and slash action games with RPG elements, and isometric dungeon crawler loot fest. Of course, when it comes to misnomers, I mean, I really love misnomers, especially as a type of humor. I mean, it's always...
Thank you, Max, for that marvelous introduction.
Imagine, if you will, an ex-member of Nightwish became infused with dark electrical powers, evolved into a fully charged succubus ready to throw down in a decrepit opera house.
That demon would be Mother Teresa compared to the self-titled Lightning Witch.
Essentially, that's Nirvan from Devil May Cry 3 in a nutshell. A lightning succubus singer and one of the gatekeepers of Temen Negru. She comes to play with a deadly arsenal of lightning-based attacks and has an army of bats used for defending herself or taking a bite out of you. She can even send out electrically charged bats to deliver a nasty sting. I'm pretty sure there's something illegal about that, but hey, anything goes with demons. Speaking of, she's also a bit of a shameless flirt, basically toying with you like a hellhound kitty cat playing with a mouse, but don't let her get too close. If she doesn't zap you, she'll deliver basically the kiss of death that slowly sucks away your health and replenishes hers. Even her battle music is electrifying. Pun slightly intended in this case. Though I also kind of picture her fighting to a metal cover of I Put a Spell on You from Hocus Pocus.
And now
Hey, don't tell me that wouldn't fit her to a T. Unfortunately, there's a reason Navon's so low on the list. She's got a tell. Actually, she's got a lot of tells. You start to notice a pattern in her attacks as they follow certain phrases. So once you memorize her phrases and figure out where to stand during each attack, it gets easier to figure out how to get around her. That's not to say she doesn't put you through the ringer. Oh no, even if you can dodge her other lightning attacks, there's still her bats and her soul-sucking lips. Once you finally pull the plug on her, she achieves the ultimate metal level by transforming into a twisted electric guitar. With this tool charged from the heavens, now you have the power of Navon herself. You can summon bats and control electricity with just one power cord and blast your foes into the cheap seats where they belong. Basically, whether it's a succubus or a guitar, everything Navon does is so freaking metal!
Have you ever wondered what it would be like if M. Bison got consumed by lightning? Wait, he's got psychic powers. He always looks like he's consumed or possessed by something. Got it! What if Guile was possessed by lightning?
For some reason, Metal Gear Solid seems to have a lot of bosses that have weird abilities despite being a military stealth game. Kojima's fault, I guess. Well, Metal Gear Solid 3 went straight to the spooky, and we talked about a couple of bosses from that game, but we haven't talked about the big bad, the electrifying Volgin. For some reason, he has the ability to freely control lightning. Well, to be more specific, he has a physical anomaly that allows him to freely control 10 million volts of electricity at will. Those scars on his face aren't battle wounds. They're from him losing control of his abilities. By always wearing a rubber suit, he can control the lightning more efficiently. After Snake is captured and escapes, he runs into Volgin, who isn't really pleased to see him escape. At this point, he decides to kill him personally, especially once he realizes he's been mostly listened to the boss and not him. Shooting him from afar is meaningless, as he can disrupt any bullet with his lightning. He's also skilled at deflecting physical attacks, so the best way to get him is to get close and shoot him point blank, or from behind where he can't deflect your attacks. He can attack you by generating lightning and shooting at you with a large bolt in the air or across the floor, or by shooting at you by firing out the bullets on his suit as projectiles or strengthening his punches with his electricity. He does have several weaknesses in true Metal Gear Solid fashion. Russian glowcap mushrooms and water can weaken him, chaff-based weaponry could disrupt him, and he is actually weak to lightning too, funnily enough.
oh, the irony! It's too much!
Despite Volgin's control over lightning, the battle itself is a bit stilted at times and is one of the weaker ones in the game. Nonetheless, Volgin's impact as a character and his power over electricity more than makes up for the battle. And considering this is Metal Gear Solid 3, being a weaker boss does not mean it was a bad one.
Still, Electric Bullet Fist! That's pretty freaking cool! You know, for a series called Infamous, we really don't talk about it anymore.
Back in the days of the PS3 and early PS4, Infamous was well on its way to becoming a new defining series for Sony. The main character, Cole, even got crossover appearances in PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale and Street Fighter X Tekken. Not that people particularly enjoyed the latter, but still. The series was known for its open-world structure, superpower-based gameplay, and morality system. Of course, me being me, you could probably imagine what route I chose.
I'm the good guy. Duh.
Anyways, whether you became the hero of Empire City or made it a somehow suckier place to live, you'll eventually come face to face with Kessler. Throughout the whole game, Kessler has been consistently taunting you and is always seemingly one step ahead of you. In addition, he's behind many of the events of the storyline, including the creation of the Ray Sphere that gave Cole his electrokinesis powers in the first place. As a conduit, Kessler has similar powers to your own, albeit kicked up several notches. Anything you do, he does better. Your overload burst? You can do it even faster. And apparently he's got a higher storage of electricity since we don't see him absorb any from other sources. Plus, he brings to the table all kinds of new powers like a ground slam and the ability to summon minions. You're basically fighting an EX version of yourself with years of experience and better control.
Anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you.
Then you beat Kessler, and turns out that was all for a reason. Because after you beat Kessler, the truth is revealed. He's Cole from the future. Specifically, he's Cole from a timeline where the beast awoke and destroyed most of the world. Kessler traveled back in time so he could shape Cole into someone who would someday be capable of stopping the beast. Every horrible atrocity that he performed throughout the game, including Trish's death, was for the greater good. And to his credit, this plan did work in the end. However, there's a problem. As Cole himself points out, Kessler could have just stopped the beast himself. Or better yet, travel back to when the beast first appeared and then kill him with all his crazy new powers. Though I get the feeling that if someone pointed that out to him, he'd respond with something like,
"My motives are complex."
Throughout Shadow of the Colossus, you fight beast-oriented giants of various manners and forms. Let's see, we got apes, wildebeests, birds, and ponies in the gallery, so how about throwing some marine life into the mix? Today's menu? Eels. The electric kind. Well, it's more of a serpentine catfish, if anything, but the former is nothing to shrug at. Hydrus is not one of the more talked about colossi in the game. This is odd, since you'd think the megalothasselophobia inducer is bound to jolt up some memories. Unlike the other colossi, Hydrus is one that you fight exclusively in the water. Given how restricted your movements get down in the aquatic pit, you know Bessie's gonna be a very active threat. Hydrus comes with spiky dorsals that emit dangerous sparks of volt through the tip. While the range isn't massive on its own, underwater, it's a different story. There's a good reason some elements aren't made to mix. To beat Hydrus, you have to scale its body from the tail up to each of these fins, where you puncture the sigils up until you reach the head. This can be very tricky to do, as each time Hydrus dives, you risk getting zapped by the fin sparks, or being drowned from latching onto the beast for too long. Most of the colossi you faced up to this point are usually pretty safe to deal with before you start scaling them. This, however, is one of the first fights that put you in constant danger of getting killed. What makes Hydrus stand out as a lightning boss is how it utilizes the aquatic environment to conduct its defensive power line. It's a simple boss in concept, but it's still amazing how creative it can be just being based on Electroforce's realistic behavior. Besides, the pressure of facing such an underwater creature while being mostly helpless yourself sure adds a lot of tension to the atmosphere.
Imagine if this thing tries to eat you. Ooh. It's time to reach for the realm of gods and then tear them down one by one. No, it's not the one you're thinking.
Asura's Wrath is the tale of a god betrayed by his brethren, and when he is reincarnated, he seeks revenge against those gods for leaving him for death and taking his daughter. The entire game is a combination of God of War and the movie Taken as an anime. Well, let's get to the meat and take on the leader of said gods, Deus. Lord Deus, which translates to Lord God.
Oh, so he calls himself God. Pretentious prick.
Anyways, Lord Deus is the leader of the 8 deities that lurk in Asura's Wrath, and similar to the main protagonist's power of Wrath, Deus's power is the mantra of pride. This pride grants him super speed and strength, and of course, the ability to control lightning and electricity completely. He can move at actual lightning speed, summon giant lightning bolts at will, shoot lightning from his hands, and amplify his physical attacks with lightning to make him hit harder. You know, as hard as the guy who could punch planets in his base form. Deus has 2 battles. The first battle has you and Yasha fighting together, and he's pretty simple as he just launches groups of lightning bolts at you. In his second battle, he controls a special nunchuck which grants him even more abilities such as wide lightning strikes, long-range AoEs, and can punch or kick the ground to launch additional lightning strikes at you. You start off with Asura and Yasha again, then Yasha solo, and finally he comes in full force in a final phase where both Asura and Deus are fighting at full power, as Deus moves at speeds mortals can't comprehend as you keep up and punch him as hard as you can with frickin' Asura, and he mostly shrugs it off. Eventually, Deus does fall by Asura punching him, but it still took a bit. The reason Deus is only halfway up is because the next few bosses use electricity in more creative ways. But when you have Deus give you one heck of a show, all we can go is up from here.
Hell or high water, I will put Chakravartin on a list! Somehow!
I'm surprised realize I don't talk about Mad World very often, especially considering it contains a good number of decent bosses. The game stars a chainsaw-wielding mercenary trying to get up the ranks in a murderous fighting competition. Well, in this corner, a duo that stole a bunch of sci-fi, it's the father and son duo, the Masters! Huh, I'm just fighting Ben Kenobi and Luke Skywalker, aren't I? Considering they're using magnet swords and have some sort of kinesis to move items around, I gotta assume there's some connection, right?
Oh yeah? You and what lightning hands?
Oh, now you've done it.
Well, their force isn't really a magical power. They actually have full control over magnetism, which allows them to move objects freely using opposing poles in their field. Their use of electromagnetic fields is a super creative use of electric abilities, giving them a pretty unique moveset compared to some other bosses. Combine that with a force push to make distance and the use of force fields to block incoming combos. During their power struggle, they can even launch giant shipping containers at Jack, forcing him to repel both of them. Of course, you can win and they electrocute each other, or you lose and have two shipping containers crush and explode on top of you and lose a third of your health. Finally, their death is practically straight out of Star Wars as you grab one of the Masters and use his electric powers to grab the other one and bash them against different generators until they both die. Yeah, cue the meme. The only major criticism I have with the fight is that the objects they throw can be easy to avoid, but since there's two of them, things should be hectic enough where you'll keep on your toes. The fight isn't really all that easy, which is good since it's the third to last fight in the game. So better keep on your toes and may the Force be with you.
I'm surprised it didn't make any more Star Wars jokes. Nah, you knew that was coming.
There are many lightning-related beings in The Legend of Zelda, yet when it comes to the nature of what lightning is, none are as paradoxical as Thunderblight Ganon. If you give me a little bit of time, I'll explain why I think this. Thunderblight Ganon is encountered in Von Naboris and is the thing that killed Urbosa. Like with the other Blights, the idea with Thunderblight seems to be to match and overpower the element that the Divine Beast is known for. We know that Naboris is a lightning camel, of all things. So why is Thunderblight the only Blight with a shield? Especially considering that lightning bosses are usually speedy, not defensive. Is it because Urbosa had a shield? Yeah, who knows, who cares. Like fire, lightning is characterized as an element of all-out offense. It strikes fast and with absolute brutality, leaving nothing behind but the smell of ozone. In real life, a lightning bolt will travel at approximately 270,000 miles per hour. It can be hotter than the surface of the sun and can contain 1 billion volts of power. That's not the power of a whole storm. That's a single bolt.
Enough gun. Something new every day.
With that kind of overwhelming power at your back, who needs defense? Yep, as stated before, Thunderblight carries a shield. Stranger yet is one of the most efficient ways of beating Thunderblight is to dodge and outspeed it with a flurry attack. Something isn't quite adding up. Yeah, and aside from these two baffling facts, Thunderblight seems a fairly picturesque lightning boss. Super fast movement, throwing out lightning balls, the usual jazz. I can't believe this is unintentional. And it wasn't. The brilliance of the Blights isn't just that they were made to kill the champions and take over the divine beasts. They were made expressly to be dark reflections of the champions. Urbosa fought with a sword and shield, thus Thunderblight fights with a sword and shield. Obviously, no one knows how the fight went down between the two. All we know is Urbosa lost and was slain. But who knows? Maybe that had something to do with Thunderblight's lightning speed against Urbosa's lesser agility? Well, whatever the case, Thunderblight Ganon is a fine example of a lightning boss on its own and is made so much better in the context of Breath of the Wild as a whole. That's why he's definitely deserving of the number 3 spot on this list. Y'all knew this one was coming. I couldn't very well talk about lightning bosses without talking about the queen bitch of Castle Oblivion, the savage nymph Larxene. Almost anyone with a shred of Kingdom Hearts knowledge knows of this sadistic woman and her electrifying lightning-fast attacks. But let's take a closer look at the woman behind the title, shall we? Larxene started off as a... Wait, this can't be right. It says here Larxene was a Keyblade wielder named Elrina? She was apparently part of the Dandelions and thus spared from the ancient Keyblade War, but lost her memories in return. Nomura, can't you just give us a break already? Yeah, okay, so looking into who she was might have been a mistake. Larxene is the 12th member of the first Organization 13 and the 6th of the True Organization. She's commonly associated with her throwing knives, foudre, which means lightning in French. Subtle. And yes, I do mean throwing knives. Calling them kunai is a common misconception. Kunai aren't actually supposed to be throwing weapons at all. But the Foudre are actually perfect weapons for Larxene, as she can easily channel her electricity through them and use them as impromptu lightning rods for her attacks. Further amping up her lightning motif is that it's implied she can move so fast that she can leave after images capable of hurting Sora. Other sources claim this is simply Larxene pulling an actual shadow clone jutsu, but where's the fun in that? As for the rest of her battle style, she's pretty straightforward. Flood the battlefield in lightning strikes and turn to a living thunderbolt to unpredictably zip around her opponents. Simple, beautiful, and effective. She'll appear out of nowhere and strike you dead where you stand and laugh about it afterwards, after she continuously kicks you in the crotch. All in all, Larxene probably embodies the strengths of lightning better than anyone on this list, even better than number 1. She's fast, agile, powerful, deadly, and unpredictable. She doesn't care who or what she's striking, so long as she gets to discharge all her power and fury upon them. Repeatedly. Zinogre, Monster Hunter. Fun and challenging fight, but doesn't use lightning in very creative ways. Phosphora, Kid Icarus Uprising. I know. She probably should be on here, but her battle was a bit too short for me. Electro, Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. One of Spidey's deadliest enemies. Had to put him somewhere. Mecha Kracko, Kirby Squeak Squad. Taking the persistence of the original Kracko and amplifying it with removable platforms. Lord of Lightning, Mario Odyssey. Hi, Pathornax. Fancy seeing you cause a storm where it doesn't fit. Clemont from Pokemon. Any electric Pokemon gym would be fun, but Clemont seemed to be the most popular. I blame the anime.
Legion of Lightning Beards, come forth and praise your father!
Obey the beard! Obey the beard! Behold the beard! Obey the beard! Accept the beard! Obey the beard! Respect the beard! Obey the beard!
The mighty king of Olympus needs no introduction. Zeus more than lives up to his status as the god of thunder and lightning. Being the main antagonist across the God of War trilogy is only the cherry on top of this iconic sundae. Throughout this series, Zeus did everything in his power to have Kratos pledge his loyalty to him. But as it appears, Kratos keeps crossing the line by starting wars and killing one too many of his own kin. By then, Zeus has had just about enough of his bastard son and unleashes his Skystorm surplus to bring about the end of the Ghost of Sparta. How? By slaughtering the man himself, trampling the entire nation, and even throwing his signature bolt through the Titan raid. Heaven's own host means business, and he demands that you know it. Zeus took an active role as a high-scaling final boss since the second game, but it's in the last game of the Greek trilogy where the tension and scale of the fight takes full effect. In God of War 3, Kratos brings Pandora to her box with the intent to unlock it and release the remaining element of hope sealed within. Zeus promptly puts a stop to it, warning Kratos of the consequences it would bring. As expected, neither father nor son could come to terms with each other after everything they'd gone through, so all they could do to settle it is a fight to the death. In the first phase, they square off in a two-dimensional arena. The simplicity doesn't stop Zeus from unleashing his flurry of lightning punches, electric fireballs, and lightning-fast teleportation. Don't let the reliance on lightning distract you from his immaculate fighting stances either. Dragging Kratos by the head and throwing simultaneous punches with him is no small task. After Pandora inevitably unlocks the box, only to reveal there's nothing to be salvaged, all there is to do is to take the fight to the highest level. Kratos and Zeus duel within the dais of Olympus further until they are interrupted by an angry Gaia seeking revenge on the gods. But since Titans aren't smart enough to invent bug sprays, the gods jump inside her heart and continue their skirmish. Talk about epic and heart-throbbing. While inside, Zeus amps up his arsenal of electrodes, with old attacks thrown a lot faster than before, along with new attacks such as explosive shockwaves and afterimages. All the while drawing even more energy from the heart of Gaia to create duplicates of himself. And as the fight goes on, those duplicates increase in number and turn the fight into pure chaos. Even after all of that, followed up by a power struggle with the Blade of Olympus, Zeus still doesn't give up. Tearing out his spirit, he unleashes all the bolts left in his arsenal to put Kratos to sleep. It is only through Pandora's remaining essence of hope that you get to lay one last smackdown on Zeus. Kratos beats him to a pulp and releases all the storm left of the lightning god, capping what's left of the broken Olympus. From life to death, we see just how formidable Zeus is as the very entity who propertizes lightning, from its integration to his standard fighting style to tying it into his very essence. It's no mystery why so many lightning gods of fiction took a page from his book. Yet no matter how many times lightning strikes, only the first one truly made it count.
I'm the Fiery Joker, and I would say that was a satisfying, complete package. Nothing else needed.
but I'm not done yet.
Shut up and take my money.
Hey everyone, this is Josh. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share the video around. Please check out my other social media like my Twitter, Twitch, and Tumblr. Check out my other channels such as Joshua Burner for reactions and other stuff, Dragon Fighter Gaming for tabletop, and Bob Equestria for cartoons. Consider checking below the video and donating to my Patreon, Streamlabs for my merchandise, or becoming a YouTube member, and you'll get rewards like this. Our name shoutouts come from Misty Phantom. Thanks for watching.